just, when you live in a neighborhood, you really want to have people surrounding you who act like a community, and Kari and Ryan do act like community members in the best way.
I grew up in Dallas, which is a large city, but most of my family is from West Texas, so think oil country and the desert. I knew I wanted to be an artist because I'm not a word person. I am a visual person. I started speaking at the age of 5.
My mom was in food service with a company called Aramark, and every 2 years they would lose the contract, which would mean that I would have to go and make new friends almost every 2 years.
My parents were divorced at an early age. My mom worked really hard, and she taught us hard work. My dad is a self-made man, and going back between the two different cultures of poor to wealthy really defined who I became. We decided early on in our marriage that one of us would be more of a stay-at-home parent in the early years because neither of us had that, and be able to give the time that coming from single-family homes we didn't receive. That's why I work from home.
I think they are they're really authentic people, each in their unique way. They're very different. Kari will always tell you what she thinks right away, and Ryan is kind of more introspective and thoughtful. But whatever they say, whenever they share anything with us, it's always kind, it's always loving. They're just really authentic and great friends.
He claims we met at a football game, or watching a football game,
Yes.
which I'm not a big football person, so maybe I was there.
A Super Bowl party.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, then he volunteered to edit my papers because I am an artist and not a writer. And he would hope that we would then have conversations. But I was a really bad writer. Our second phone conversation, I asked him his discipline techniques, and then I asked him if he was okay with adoption.
Whenever I was growing up, I got spanked, and I remember how that felt, and I felt horrible. And it was actually a horrible situation to get spanked in, where I didn't even understand why I got spanked. So I just was very adamant that we have a kid, that basically we weren't going to spank or do any corporate punishment to her.
Kari is like an earth person. You were standing in the midst of her garden, and it never ceases to amaze me what she grows. And it's not just the vegetables and things that she grows, but she's always active, very industrious and very caring and very available to us when we have a need.
Ryan's a great dude. He is one of the best listeners and one of the best at remembering what you're saying. And there's been several times where I would say something to him, and months later he would bring it up, and he would say, "Hey, remember when you shared this? How's that going?" And so he just has a heart for people, and he really cares for people and their well-being.
Our nephew was having issues at his home.
Zach was adopted by my stepsister from foster care, and he started showing some behavioral issues at home that they were not able to handle. I believe that a family should stay together, and we offered his home. He came and lived with us for 1 year, and during that time we did therapeutic parenting with him.
He definitely had some behavioral issues, but he really grew on us as, as just a kid. He needed love, he needed affection, he needed to know that, who he was and what he was doing was something that was good. People can become connected. By living with one another, you begin to really care for one another, and we started to care for him as he was our own son.
When he first arrived, he'd run across the street and punch the kids in the stomach and come back and hide. A couple months before he left was his 9th birthday, and he invited 26 kids to his birthday party, and 25 showed up.
I'd say they were very involved with his care. Zach had some special needs, but they were very attentive to his issues. They always made an effort to try to be involved with Zach's family of origin so that he still had a connection to them.
I wasn't really exposed to a lot of kids whenever I was growing up. And then I was just like, I don't know if it would be natural to love love a kid that is not biologically mine. And through that experience, I saw that, I was in fact able to love him. And whenever he left, I knew that because, there was a grieving process whenever that happened. And, I remember things that,
Ryan, for example, is the elder of my church, which is a position of, I would say, authority, but also he became elder because he has been respected and he's been respectful in the community where I serve, in the church community.
When we were coming to look at this house, we were introduced to neighbors across the street, and she introduced her children, and immediately I knew that this is where we should live. They are biracial children, interracial marriage, and not knowing how we were going to grow our family, I knew that it was going to be important that we be in a mixed community so that any way that we grow our family, the child will feel connected. We have an open door policy in our immediate community. Kids come over all the time. They come over and hang out in the art studio and get to create their works. We have a tree swing in the front, and I love just driving up and seeing neighborhood kids playing on our tree swing. So we believe that it takes the full community to raise a child. It's not just us that's going to be raising our child. It's going to be our friends. It's going to be our church family. It's going to be our extended family.
It's very hard for us to have kids biologically.
We would have to do the full IVF ICSI, and we actually started the process, but then we both decided why, when there's children out there that already do need homes.
Maybe about a year or more ago, they were taking care of their nephew, and just to watch their interaction, both Kari and Ryan with Zach, was just amazing. Their patience and their desire to do well for him through his struggles and so forth was just really wonderful to watch.
I love how hospitable and dedicated they are to our community, especially at the church. They have always been people who have just welcomed anyone to their home and been extremely supportive and dedicated, and I feel like they're people that are always around and willing to pitch in and help out.
She's also my art teacher, and I like that she gives us a choice of how we want to do the project.
Kari and Ryan are very good with understanding children and knowing what to expect from children in child development. So they will be very attentive and understanding of their child and will take very good care of the child.
When they get to know you, they really remember things about you. It was real. They really cared about people, and they cared about us, even though we didn't really know each other that well at that point.
They've helped us through some hard struggles, just raising kiddos, just family life. They're there for you.
Also, I have a child, I have a 2-year-old, and so it's really great to have a couple that I can bring my kid over and they don't get worried. They just treat her just like one of their own, kind of, so.
We are open to an open adoption, almost to any level of openness that the biological family would like to have. A connection to their birth culture is important because they need to feel like a full human being able to understand where they have come from and how that plays an impact on their lives and their future lives. They're gonna experience things that we won't fully understand, but having our friends and our community around us will help them understand things that, coming from our perspective, we wouldn't. So it's key for us to have those people in our lives, our neighbors and our community, to pour into our children in ways that we can't pour into them.
And she has like the magic touch with babies. She knows how to put them to sleep right away. I don't know how she does it. But they are just wonderful people, very loving and kind and compassionate. And there's nobody better, I don't think, to have kids. They deserve kids. Give them all the kids.